All right, thank you for joining me. Can you explain your relationship to CCJ?
All right. I am at a local district. I am at Pure Moran Middle School as a Title I math teacher. And I reached out to CCJ following um, the civil unrest that started back in May following the death of George Floyd because
Mhm.
with COVID happening, I felt like we needed to find a way for students to process everything that was happening because they had that disconnect with their school community that they needed a space to process everything.
Mhm. Yeah, and then that eventually we did that, and then eventually led into a semester-long dialogue with you and the school resource officer and a number for the middle schools and a number of students. So, what were your hopes and expectations for the school resource officers office circles, and in what way did CCJ meet those expectations?
I was hoping that this would be an opportunity for our student resource officer to build relationships with the students. That way, we could build that feeling of community between um, an officer, teacher, and students that are on his caseload, on my caseload. And CCJ was able to facilitate a sharing of perspectives that allowed all of us to see that we're on the same page. We all have the same end goals that we desire from our community at the school.
Mhm. And how did you feel like the circles built that relationship between the school resource officer and the students that were there, and for yourself as well?
I feel like it was just a really safe space for people to share our stories, our opinions, our perspectives. We're all respected in this circle. It was a just a safe space to share uninterrupted how you feel about something. And then it also was an opportunity to see from another perspective because I'm not a kid right now. I'm not a student resource officer. So it's hard for me to understand those perspectives without being introduced to them.
Thank you. And in more sort of, I guess, general or broader terms, what was the experience like for you, or what did you get out of working with us for the past several months?
It was really therapeutic, honestly. It allowed me as an adult even to process how I feel about certain values, let alone certain events that were happening around me. It really just was a space to let out how I feel and also connect with my community.
Thank you. Yeah, we did a lot of mentioned values. We talked about a lot of topics, right? We started with kind of rapport building in general, getting to know you, and as things came up, we sort of intensified the topics of conversation, doing things about bullying and equity and diversity and inclusion, and really a broad range of things. Were there specific topics that you felt were specifically helpful for the school resource officer and students to talk about? Do you have favorite
Definitely,
topics?
definitely conflict resolution. Talking about how students feel that we need to do better with conflict resolution in terms of bullying, um, let alone conflicts between students and teachers, conflicts where they're just disagreements, things like that, just so that we adults can tailor our response to what the kids feel like they need.
Sure. And how do you feel like we helped students address some of those issues, or what do you feel like students got out of participating in the circles?
I feel like they were able to trust both myself and our student resource officer more because they had that relationship built, because they met with us once a week. They got to know us as people, and we were people that they're comfortable approaching now. It's a way to make our buildings feel more safe and welcome to them.
How do you feel that that translates, sort of going from the dialogues of the circles? How do you feel like translates into sort of working with your school and changing school culture in broader strokes?
I feel like it really demonstrates that we need to have more of an emphasis on relationship building with students and really reach out to them more in terms of okay, well, what would work to make you guys feel better about bullying or bully less or feel better about approaching teachers about bullying? How would you like us to go about conflict resolution with your teachers, with your peers? It allows us to go in more of a restorative justice lens towards discipline, anti bullying, just all different ways that I can inform my admin um, about how we should move forward based on how our students reacted.
Okay, great. Yeah. And how were there any like aha moments where like something happened or you heard a student perspective or a police officer perspective that really hit a nerve for you in a positive way that made you think about, oh my God, this is something we really need in our schools for students to be thinking about this in restorative ways.
Again, it's the conflict resolution and equity versus equality, so that students can understand that just because one student got one form of discipline doesn't mean that that would work for them.
Mm,
Some students, they just need to have a walk off period where they just walk. Some kids prefer a walk and talk. Some kids prefer just to have a chill out moment where they just stare at one of our students shared. Sometimes when I just need to calm down, I need to stare at my glitter case on my phone. And I'm like, why didn't I think of that when I was their age, just to have something to look at and
mhm.
take my mind off of things? It's just ways that they came up with to calm down and resolve any conflict that they have.
Thank you. Um, yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add about the circles in general or things that you look forward to in terms of restorative justice and education?
I look forward to more schools implementing this. I know that we're reaching out to other schools within our district so that
Mhm.
all three of our middle schools can have this resource. I hope that more schools look towards getting student input on these things, because it wasn't that long ago that I was a kid and I look as an educator now and go, man, I'm going to do that differently because that didn't work for me. So I'm excited for positive changes to happen.
All right. Thank you. You heard it here. Appreciate it.